happy, merry NFL season, week 1 to you all, and to you all to have a great season for our beloved Detroit Lions. In this video, we're going to be talking about the latest Detroit Lions news and rumors. A lot to get into. Dan Campbell spoke. We're going to get into what he said. We're going to get into predictions from multiple sources, what they think that the Lions going to do. Rumors going out there that the Lions should trade a player, and the Detroit Lions did sign a quarterback. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. First off here, Dan Campbell spoke to the media about not bringing back Za'Darius Smith, and my guy Spenmo Rax made it on the web in regard to Lions news. And an article says, if you don't want the Lions to go out and get Za'Darius Smith, you're effed stupid. He added, we're talking about signing Za'Darius Smith for 1 effing year. We're not talking about signing a 30-year-old for, we're talking about 1 year where you get $40 million cap space to bring in a guy that costs you under $10 million. And Spenmo's just upset because Dan Campbell said we are good to go at the edge position. I know a lot of Lions fans would love to have more depth at the pass rush spot like myself. I would like to bring Za'Darius Smith in, but I don't run the organization. Folks like me who want him in don't run the organization. Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes does. And they believe in Davenport. They believe in this depth chart at the defensive line. They like what they have right now. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but that's what they like. And I hope there is no injuries this year because we need this defensive line to be swarming on the quarterback. But are you guys upset that it looks like that he's not being brought back? Give me your thoughts in the comments. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel because tonight, the Eagles in Cowboys game, I'm going to be live for it. Now, Dan Campbell spoke to the media about getting a quarterback, and they did just that. Dan Campbell says, we're looking for somebody that we need them. We know they can run the show, Campbell said. They can run the offense. They can process the information more than we can find a guy to develop that's unknown. All of those. I'd rather have a guy, somebody that certainly, if we're familiar with somebody you just know they get in the game, they're going to get you in the right play. Smart with the football and all those things. So, with that said, Mike Garafolo, according to NFL Network's Mike Garafolo, the Lions are expected to sign C.J. Beathard to their practice squad. This will require a subsequent cut on the practice squad, but that move has yet to be made public. The Lions got their number 3 quarterback, who's going to be helping the Lions in the practice squad. So, who is C.J. Beathard? Well, he's 6'2", 215 pounds, 31 years old, played out of Iowa in college. He played on multiple teams. We're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars, San Francisco 49ers. He's had some stints, the Commanders, Steelers. He's been passed around, very much so. But that's because, you know, he is a perennial backup, and that's not a bad thing, right? For people trying to make a career out of it. I mean, it's a good career. You make money, right? What has he done throughout his tenure in the NFL? 3,886 yards, 19 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, a completion percentage of 60.4. You may not be high on this signing, but what else are you going to do when all these quarterbacks are signed to many teams? We're talking about we're now picking up for a third string, so it's about as best as you could do for a third string quarterback. Not much on the market. And we're just talking about a guy who, if some crazy injuries occur, can hand and snap the ball off, basically. Look, if the Lions have C.J. Beathard at quarterback due to injury, that means Jared Goff went down. That means Kyle Allen went down. That means we're effed. So, if we're using a third-string quarterback, it doesn't really matter who it is, folks. That means we're probably going to lose that game regardless. So, just for having a guy who can help other players out, help with developing players, maybe use as a scout quarterback, that type of thing. Help prepare Kyle Allen, help prepare Jared Goff and other players. That's what we're looking for in a third-string quarterback. And now with the rules, with the ability of these guys to, if they need be in a game, if something really crazy happened, you can have that third quarterback dress. If you remember in the playoffs, a couple years ago with the 49ers, they lost, I feel like 10 million quarterbacks. And so they made that rule change. So now you can do that. So that's what C.J. Beathard is going to be. Don't expect anything crazy out of him. It's a backup to the backup signing. So grade this signing. A, B, C, D, or F. Let's get into a wild rumor from the Bleacher Report. They talk about the Lions should trade a player away. We just traded a player away, and they want to do it again. He says, this is mostly due to the emergence of the young receivers Isaac TeSlaa and Dominic Lovett. The former impressive camp contributed to the previous trade for Tim Patrick, and if the latter progresses, Raymond could become expendable. While Raymond's special teams value cannot be overlooked, Detroit gave up Lovett's opportunity to return kicks this summer. Greg Reynolds also capable. Teams that need a proven returner and added receiver depth should be interested in Raymond, who would likely carry a price point similar to Patrick. And if you didn't know what Patrick got, he got a 6th-round pick. Not only, first off, I don't think that Kalif Raymond would get a 6th-round pick. I don't even know if any team would get him because of his age and everything. But I don't think that the Lions would trade him away. The depth now is one player less. And he's great on special teams. Look at the depth here. If you had Tim Patrick, I think you could do something like that, right? But we don't now. Now, Jackson Meeks is on the practice squad, so you can throw Lovett at the wide receiver 4 spot and Meeks at number 5 if you were to do that trade. And yes, that is possible, but that would immensely hurt the Lions' depth at wide receiver. You would be suggesting that there's no injuries this season. And you don't want to do that. We already gave up a receiver. We don't want to do that. And Kalif Raymond, he is trusted by Jared Goff. He is trusted by fans. He catches everything that comes his way. And I trust him on special teams. Is he the same that he was 4 years ago, 3 years ago? Probably not. But we're talking about a number 4 receiver now. And he does bring mismatch problems, especially if you're wanting to go crazy deep on your weapons out on offense. Okay, so the Lions want to be smart to give him up, in my opinion. I think that the Lions are going to keep Kalif Raymond. I think that'd be a dumb idea to trade him. Now, look, you look at the depth and just look at it, it looks like something that the Lions should do, right? It's something that they could do. But if you think about injuries, 17-game season, also playoffs, I don't think that would be wise. I don't. Now, The Athletic came out with an article today, and I wanted to talk about it because this is what the mainstream media narrative is. For some reason, the Lions have just been poo-pooed as of late. The media thinks that the Lions are going to fall off a cliff. And a lot of people in the NFL, scouting departments and the offices, believe that the Lions are going to take a significant step back. Here's what they said. It says, this was a jarring result. The result drew more votes than any team usually has questions. They're usually so much prettier because it's subjective question. He's talking about they talked to all 32 teams in the personnel department. And 16 believe that the Lions are going to regress, be the most regressed team in the NFL after last year. I think that's crazy. I do think that the Lions are they're gonna lose more games this year because 15 wins. Duh. That's just natural. But they talked about how we lost the coordinators and all the stuff we've been hearing in the big media. They are completely ignoring that I think that the upgrade at defensive coordinator, and I don't think it's going to be much of a downgrade at all, really, for from our offense. The offensive line will get continuity, but I think the NFL is really making a mistake by poo-pooing the Detroit Lions. I do, and I think the Lions going to have a significant chip on their shoulder, and they're going to play hard. I think the Lions win on Sunday, too. So if you want to see that game and tonight's game, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You got to do that. Let's get into some predictions. In USA Today, predict the Lions are going to win. A lot of media predict the Lions win, even though the Vegas does not. Right now, for USA Today's prediction, only John Holling's got the Packers winning. Only one. You go to Pride of Detroit, clean sweep. Everybody's going Detroit Lions on there. All picking the Lions to win. I think all the local media outlets, majority are picking the Lions to win. And ESPN Calculator has the Detroit Lions with a better chance to win as well at a 50.9. So even though you look at ESPN, everybody's picking the Packers. You know, Dan Orlowski, all on the Packers. Especially after the Parsons trade, everybody went Green Bay love. But reality's got to set in. The Lions are a really good football team. I do have the Lions winning this game on Sunday, like Pride of Detroit, like most of USA Today. So give me your thoughts about today's Lions news. Again, we're going to be live in a couple of hours for the Cowboys and Eagles game. We're going to do play-by-play for that. Check it out. With that said, folks,